Happy holidays, everybody. It is December 21st, 2020. We are back, and we both have video tonight. It is Breakfast Soup Raw, and as always, I am Don Tony, and join along with me is, where's the names?
Anthony Missionary Thomas. What's going on, DT?
Merry not too much. There we go. There we go. I am Don Tony.
Yes.
That is Mish.
Fantastic picture.
Are you ready for Christmas yet? Does it feel like Christmas at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's some nice things about it, but no, we didn't go all out for the decorations. But there's a lot of decorations around the city, so it's kind of nice to see other people really carrying the spirit this year, especially when people need it most, man.
Yeah, me too, me too.
So.
I mean, you planning anything for the eve or the day?
Oh, yeah, I've got, I'm going to go over to my my brother's. We're going to have like a little party over there, and then I'm going to go over to the girlfriend's family, and we're going to have a little something over there, and then we're going to come back here and open up our own gifts. So I got a few stops, even though we're in the middle of the COVID Christmas. I have no problem making a couple of stops and seeing family. I mean, that's really what the holiday's about. Hopefully everybody is safe. Hopefully everybody listening and watching on YouTube is safe and has a good fucking holiday coming up. So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, you know, this COVID thing is obviously no joke, but, you know, everybody has a head on their shoulders to know by now what to be careful for and how to protect yourself, and don't be careless, and enjoy your holidays. And don't listen to these fuckers in Washington that are trying to tell. You see that Dr. Deborah Birx that everybody loved, and for Thanksgiving she went to winterize her house, and she had relatives help her, and then she reveals that they shared a meal together, and there wasn't just the relatives that all live in the same house. It was 3 different generations of family. It's the simple case of do as I say, not as I do. And right. And I love social media and everybody getting all butthurt about this $600 stimulus check. You could see online the people that make crazy ass money and they don't care about the check, but they'll do it to knock the government. And then you got all the lazy people that didn't do anything since February and thought they were going to sit back and get rewarded, like they were going to hit the lotto sooner or later, that they were going to get this big check. And then went after, but only 600? Well, if you worked, if you got off your lazy asses and actually did something since February, you wouldn't need this $600. You buy the PlayStation 5, or as John Krause said, you get an escort.
Yeah, but there's a lot of jobs that have closed down. There's a lot of careers that have closed down. I can't sit there and blame everybody that's...
No, it's not everybody, but the loudest people are usually the laziest or the ones that don't even need the check. That just want to use it to get attention on themselves. Because, you know why? Because smart people out there know by now that doesn't matter if Trump, Obama, Kermit the Frog, The Rock, you know, Oprah, it doesn't matter who's the president. In the end, we all get screwed. We all get screwed. So there was going to be nothing different this time around. And fact of the matter is, people are seeing they're giving $20 billion to this company. They're giving $30 million to this company. They're giving $15 million to the Smithsonian. They're giving tens of millions of dollars for all these private outlets out there. And for Americans that need it the most, you got this. You got to stop depending on everybody else. So, but anyway, we're not going to talk anymore about that tonight. We are here to talk about Monday Night Raw, talk about a few other news tidbits, overall thoughts of Raw tonight. And people saw, I put up the title of tonight's show about 4 days ago. Did WWE shake things up, or was it the same old shit? And before you say anything, I have been saying this for a long time. You have been saying this for a long time. And people, if you weren't convinced before, I think the last 7 days should have convinced you that all of these people out there that say the USA Network was furious and angry and demanded change and shake things up and this and that, it's the same people that told you that Otis and Keith Lee and Dijakovic and all these people were sent to the Performance Center because they weren't happy. And then Otis does an interview and says, what are you talking about? We're not working house shows. We need to go to the Performance Center so we can hone our skills. And we said to everybody out there, no worries about Keith Lee. We said last week was the beginning of the rebuild of Keith Lee. I think Keith Lee did a fine job tonight. Last week we said it was the rebuild of Otis. I think Otis did a fine job Friday night. But all these other people with the clickbait, I got to find out seriously, the fonts. We have Arial, we have Tahoma, we have Microsoft Sans in the fonts. Do they have a font called clickbait? Is that the font for the bold letters on YouTube? Is it called clickbait? Because when are you people going to realize that all these people with these outspoken rants and these passionate things, WWE is this, and this is the worst, and this is this, they need this to suck because they don't have nothing. Common sense tells you if the rating is pathetic, a network is not going to be happy. If the rating improves, the network is happy. It's not rocket science, but these people will try to tell you that they know the answer, they know this, they know that, and all they do is just clickbait all of you. What'd you think of Raw tonight?
I totally agree, first off, about the clickbait. I mean, I'll be the first one to sit there and say on Thursday I thought that there was absolutely a problem going into next week's Monday Night Raw. The idea that there might have been a superstar shakeup, the idea that there might have been some kind of recourse for the poor ratings on Monday Night Raw wasn't such a far stretch of the imagination.
It's hope.
Monday Night Raw did a horrible, horrible set of ratings last week. And so the idea that anybody would come down on the company for said ratings, it didn't seem like it was that unreasonable. But you were right. The entire superstar shakeup, the entire shakeup of Raw, the entire changing of whatever, the different branches of ideas that were coming through the internet was completely just unfounded. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. Tonight we watched Monday Night Raw, and Monday Night Raw was quid pro quo. It was business as usual. Nothing really felt out of the ordinary. Some fun segments, some boring segments, and a lot of filler. And it seems like it's the same thing that they do every Monday as of late. And I hate to sit there and say that about Raw, but it's true. They have a set formula. They stick to that formula. And it doesn't matter how the fans or social media or anyone responds to the company. They're going to stick to that formula, whether you like it or not.
They doubled down tonight. They doubled down. Yeah. Oh, the Jackson Riker Elias pet? No problem. We'll do it even to the next level. Oh, Miz and Morrison main eventing Raw. That's the problem. We'll double down. We'll have the main event and we'll do a street fight. Oh, this is bad. Oh, we'll double down. Charlotte is back. Not only is she going to open the show, she is going to have a match and she's going to wrestle on SmackDown with Asuka. Right. This is people out there that think they have the answers, and then you realize at the end of the day that they can spot problems, and they can spot, no question, but they have no solutions, and they think they have the answers. And like I said, look at even the Fiend. Look at even the Fiend. Did you see what's been going on the last 24 hours? My sources say, word has it, the Fiend is going to be repackaged and redid this and redid. They said the same thing about Rey Mysterio. The Fiend could very well be repackaged. All right. How I looked at last night was a combination of Finn Balor as the demon and Rey Mysterio as the eyeball popped out. That, everybody thought, oh, they're going to do this with Rey and they're going to do this. They're going to have side. Do you remember everybody that they did all? This was the great part. That all of you out there, I don't know why you keep forgiving all these podcasters for feeding you bullshit. But you remember before the Eye for an Eye match, they said that they hired some type of special effects company and they were going to do some wild special effects in it. Did anybody remember that? And people were talking about computerized technology, and all it is was he held like a fishing thing in his hand, like a float. Yeah. I mean, it's the same shit. It's right. Garbage. It and look, I'm not letting Raw out of the woods with this. Raw and WWE has sucked. It sucked. Yeah. There's been a lot of parts of it that suck. There's no question about that. But when these people try to do these, oh, this is it. They've hit total rock bottom. USA Network's giving them ultimatums and this, and they're furious and angry and irate and death threats and other. Shut up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
WWE so long that it's kind of weird to even imagine that USA would have any kind of precedent against WWE for no matter what ratings they did. I mean, you would have to literally be in the zeros for USA to even notice, or I don't even want to say notice, but for USA to even be believably come down on WWE. They've been with them for so long, so long. That partnership is almost like forever. You know, it's just difficult for me to believe that. But, you know, there is no doubt. There is no doubt that the ratings from last week were definitely abominable.
Chat room, does any of you remember the actual computer graphic term that people were using when they said that WWE with the eye for an eye match, they were doing something? There was a specific name for it. Maybe one of you remembers, or maybe you could Google it, because like I said, all these people were all talking and clickbaiting about it, and it was not true, not even remotely true. There's a certain term for it. But like I said, look, WWE, I mean, CGI, okay, Slave Cheeks, Felix, Austin, Mystery Man, Joe Punches, Michael Gonzalez, Prince Alberts. I think they're all just writing CGI now, so I shout them out. Philip Provona, Kid Myers, Dan K. Yes, you're all right. CGI. Remember, the CGI technology. This CGI technology. Look, I got a black. Hey, everybody, I got a black eye. Oh, look, here's CGI. Look, my black eye fell out. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. I made a little poem, by the way. Last week, it was Twas the night before TLC. Remember Mrs. Pullman last week? Tonight, They did Twas the nightmare after TLC. So I had to come back with my version of it. Would you like to hear it right at the beginning of the show? All right. Hear it. Remember, tonight we had Keith Lee and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre do Twas the nightmare after TLC. So I did my rendition for 2 weeks in a row. Twas the nightmare after TLC is what aired during Raw. And as usual, the segments were quite the bore. The same usual segments with the same people shown. It's been happening for years. The Raw rating has blown. But I laugh at you people who fell for fake rage, who clickbaited y'all that USA demanded change. I choose to keep it simple, keep it blunt, to the point. WWE will tweak minor things. They're never gonna gut the whole joint. Any Tom, Dick, or Harry can tell you what's bad, but they'll never tell you the ways to make WWE rad. It's time to end my rant, because Mish looks quite bored. Sign up with YouTube TV and cut the cable cord. I did Thunderdome tonight until about 20 after 10.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I'll tell everyone in a minute. I got an email at around 7:30 tonight saying that here's my invite for Thunderdome. I'm like, I haven't requested Thunderdome in 2 months. I didn't request it for tonight. But as we've talked about before, WWE has a core group of emails and a list of people that they trust, and they randomly sometimes will send an invite, unrequested, to see if you want to be a part of Thunderdome. So the way I have it set up, you can't see it right now, but maybe I'll take a picture tomorrow. I have my webcam on my left, and I have my camera that's live right now on my right. So when I do WWE Thunderdome, I use my webcam. This way I don't have to screw with my settings for the videos that we do. Sure. And then when I switch the webcam off, the camera goes on, and that's what you see now. But and also WWE ripped me off last week for $100. I got a call yesterday from WWE. Actually, Saturday. What am I saying? Yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday. I got a call Saturday that they are going to ship me another Bray Wyatt lantern and another set of ceramic figures for free. So they're actually crediting one of the orders, and they're giving me a set for free. So I thank them for fixing the problem. It sucks that I had to make it public in order to get it fixed. But when I get it, then I'll show everybody. But until I get it, obviously, you know, I don't believe it 100%. But
very good.
So we have in 2 weeks the first Raw of 2021, January 4th, 2021. Yeah. And WWE tonight announced that we will have Legends Night. Mitch, did you? Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you saw all the graphics that popped up. I thought one of the people that was announced probably pissed you off. And one I thought was comical. Which one do you want me to tell you first? The one that I thought was comical, or the one that pissed you off?
Let's go with the comical one, man.
I have nothing against this woman. I actually like her. We have rooted for her, especially her battling alcoholism. But apparently Alicia Fox is now a WWE legend.
Sure. Have you ever seen her Northern Lights suplex, DT? It's the best.
Is that what it's called? I don't know what that was called.
Her one move is fantastic. She's the best at it ever. Legendary, even.
She's a legend.
Yes,
but
she's a legend.
I thought of you immediately when I saw this person announced.
Oh, boy.
Mickie James. I mean, obviously, you, I, and almost everybody tuning in live all say that Mickie James is a legend.
She's a whole for Mickie James.
What?
Why would you think that would make me mad?
I'll tell you exactly why I think it'll make you really irate. Because what WWE has done over the years is when you reach, in their eyes, legend status, you don't wrestle on TV pretty much ever again. Or very, very rare. It's like when you're legend status is the new Hall of Fame, in the sense that usually Hall of Fames don't induct people until they're retired or they're dead. And now with them announcing Mickie James, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, look, what I was going to say is you, me, and 95% of everybody tuning in will say that Mickie James is a legend. She's a Hall of Famer, without question. The reason why I thought you'd be upset about it is by WWE now putting her in that category, instead of a current WWE superstar who's a legend as well, you pretty much know now that WWE is not ever looking to really do anything with Mickie James ever again. I don't like sometimes when people are put in that legend status, because legend in WWE's eyes is, you know, somebody that earns it, but no longer a viable, full-time, regularly televised person, unless maybe they get lucky and become a manager.
You know, for the most part, she's kind of been working that Legends contract for a while now. I mean, Mickie James hasn't been even in a mainstream feud since what, Alexa Bliss? I'm not surprised by this change in the direction of how they're handling her character, and it shouldn't be any surprise to anybody else out there that's a Mickie James fan too. I'm glad that she's getting the status of being a legend, and good for her. And if she ever wants, I'm sure there's other places and other promotions that she could probably go to and maybe wrestle for if she chooses not to continue her contract status with WWE. But they've really sat back on her for a while now, so it's no surprise to me. You're right, though. I understand what you mean by I should have been upset, because now this pretty much puts the lid on Mickie James's career. WWE gets to dictate that Mickie James can retire now, even if Mickie James really isn't ready to retire. You know, it seems like she's still very active, not only on social media and everything else like that, but she still seems very active with a lot of her own side projects and stuff. Maybe this will be an opportunity for her to focus more on those, or maybe it'll be a wake-up call for her to have one last hurrah as a legendary women's wrestler.
In another promotion.
Right.
You know, and yeah, Joe Punches. Unfortunately, no PN news for the Legend Show. I paused the video and put it in super slow motion to and I wrote down the list. If I'm forgetting anybody, let me know, everyone, but I think I got the list intact that was shown on the graphics. Hulk Hogan, Sergeant Slaughter, Kurt Angle, Ric Flair, Torrie Wilson, The Big Show, Jacqueline, Booker T, Mickie James, Tatanka, Jeff Jarrett, Beth Phoenix, Jimmy Hart, The Boogeyman, Erwin R. Shyster, Hillbilly Jim, Michael P.S. Hayes, I think Candice Michelle. Somebody was blowing a kiss. I couldn't see it. All I know is she was brunette. I think it was Candice Michelle. Maybe it was Eve Torres. Maybe somebody could clarify that. Alicia Fox. And one name that I'm happy to see on that list, but again, I think this guy is way too young to be put in this status, and it pisses me off. This almost feels like WWE's way of forcing someone into a different status so we don't look at them as a full-time or viable full-time wrestler anymore. But Carlito will be making an appearance. So that is the list. And a few people are saying that it was Candice Michelle. I thought it was Candice Michelle.
Yeah.
But look, I'm not crapping on it, because here's the difference, everybody. You know, for everybody that, you know, was shitting all over the idea of doing a Legends night in 2 weeks, the difference between the Sting stuff in AEW and the Legends night is almost everybody that you see 2 weeks from now, you're not going to see again for the foreseeable future. You know, you're not going to see them the following week. You're not going to see Shivani do an exclusive interview. You're not going to see somebody come out and point the bat. I don't mind nostalgia if it's done the right way. Look, it's right after New Year's. It's a feel-good moment. You get to see people you haven't seen. Look, every year, you know, baseball teams do old-timers games. It's once a year. You know, it's not like WWE does it 6 times a year or anything like that. I think some people out there are overreacting. It's going to be a Legends theme. I'm fine with it. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's a fine thing. I mean, it's just like every other special event that WWE does. It's a way to pop the ratings, a way to card out people that you haven't seen in a while, and a way to make some money off some new merch.
Yeah.
You know, it's strategic. That's what it is. It's not really a necessary thing. It's not like this is going to change the direction of the company or anything else like that. It's a day off. That's what it is for WWE.
And you know what? It's a payday for some people.
Right.
It's a payday. So, want to give 2 quick shout outs. Then we'll get into a couple of news tidbits. We got to pay tribute to somebody who passed. Philip Maffey says Raw is horrible. Last week was the lowest ratings in history. And the answer to that is to give people a worse show than last week. I don't know if it was a worse show than last week. You know, I mean, the street fight, I liked it. I think the problem with the street fight is that there was too much inside the ring. You know, when you see 2 people in the corner waiting for a tag. Now, let me get this straight, Mish. I'm just trying to think outside the box. It was a holiday street fight. Does a holiday street fight mean you could use weapons, you could brawl all outside the ring, but you have to tag your partners? There is no legal man. The fuck was this at the end that Drew wants to go for his finisher? Ow. And Sheamus tags himself in. And then Keith Lee, I'm not going to do it twice. Keith Lee, you know, tags himself in. It's a fucking street fight. Why are they tagging themselves in? And the announcers go along with it.
Because WWE changes the rules. Do you remember that book that WWE came out with? Matter of fact, I think you purchased a copy for me, which was the WWE Book of Rules. And a lot of people, myself included, thought, okay, maybe this is WWE's attempt in order to clarify some of the gimmick matches, clarify some of the rules, you know, kind of set things in stone for the future, which I think a lot of people would have appreciated. What did it end up being? Didn't you get yourself a copy?
I have a copy still. I never opened it. I was going to give it away on over here. I have it literally in my office. Still, that's the one that had the string, right? The cover of the string. Yeah, the Legends book. I never opened it. It's in mint condition.
It was a giant scrapbook full of pictures and stupid things. It made absolutely no sense. It was completely dumb. The book has absolutely no bearing on any credibility for the rules or anything. It was absolute garbage. So when you see a match like a holiday street fight and the rules aren't clear, it's because WWE does not care if the rules are clear. They don't want the rules to be clear. The rules of the match don't matter. It doesn't. They can change the finish. They can change the rules. They can change whatever they want at any point of any given time. And tonight is a perfect example of that when people get to tag themselves in. Didn't they used to do that shit in WCW? When they used to, the wrestlers used to count to 3 themselves.
Yeah.
Themselves
sure. Yeah, they would do their own 3 count. Yeah.
Crap? Yeah, that was garbage back then. And that's what it was tonight, it was a throwback to that stuff.
And all these geniuses that have these websites, podcasts, and all this other stuff, none of them even took note of that at the end. You know, Why are these guys taking themselves in? It's a fucking street fight. It was so bad, man. So bad. I mean,
yeah, it was very dumb, dude.
Yeah. I mean, look, Christmas theme, I get it. You know, having the Singapore canes looking like candy canes, I get it. But, you know, I mean, it's little things like that. They should not be the promotion that does stupid shit like that. You know, I mean, it's...
Right. This is something you expect from a new promotion, not a promotion that swallowed another promotion that did this exact same shit 20 years ago. It's really a bad look.
Could you imagine...
They can't even get their own rules straight, you know?
Yeah. Could you imagine the WWE production meeting? We're going to do a holiday street fight. But we also want to have it where everybody tags themselves in and causes friction. And then you have the writing team. Yeah, but Vince, if it's a street fight, everybody is legal. There is no tagging. Yeah, but we got to push that. Fuck it. I could just picture him. You know, it doesn't matter. And it's like, you know what this reminds me of? When the referees botch and they try to turn it into a storyline where the referee comes out like on the following Raw or SmackDown, my bad, and they're trying to play it off like, you know, but it's not really a botch. Like they just wanted to put it on the ref because they don't have a clear-cut way to get to the finish. So we'll just have the ref botch. Sometimes refs do botch, but you have a couple of times. I remember, I don't remember his name, but I think it was the see, I get myself in trouble when I say it like this. The Oriental referee. Is that the safe way of saying it? I remember one time that
Oriental.
Yeah, they did the finish with him botching, and it was intentional. And then he comes out, my bad. They should have stuck this freaking Sharpie up his ass. Oh, man, I would say more, but I'll get my mouth into trouble. But, and you know what? FT Gaggiano, he's fine with, not Raw going back to 2 hours. He's fine with Raw going to 90 minutes. I think 3 hours is a bit much. I think, you know, this storyline, it continues with Ricochet and Ali. This is like a weird fetish obsession. This is like Nikki Cross trying to get in the good graces of Alexa Bliss. But instead you have Ali. We're not going to stop beating your ass until you join us. You don't understand. You need us. This is like this reminds me of like a bad relationship I had when I was like 17 years old. But you don't understand. We're perfect together. No, I'm not going to stop calling you or ringing you. You don't understand. This is fucking bad. It's the same goddamn shit. Last week with Billie Kay and the week before, Billie Kay tags herself in and she loses. Chad Gable tells Otis, no, do this, and he loses. They do like 2 or 3 storylines that are the same thing, but they just tweak a little bit to try to make it differently. There's 2 or 3 of the same goddamn thing. You had the Hurt Business. They wanted this person. They wanted that person. They wanted Ricochet. I mean... What is Ricochet like the hot chick that just moved in down the block and every neighbor shows up with like cookies and cake and this and housewarming gifts and they're all trying to nail her. This is just like a weird obsession, man.
The actual angle for a second. Here's the funniest thing about the retribution angle with Ricochet. Let's play pretend here. And let's say that Ricochet does join up with Retribution. Now what? Is Ricochet going to change the world? is Retribution now going to make important changes to Raw? Like, that's the problem with this silly angle, is that even if they do win, let's say Retribution does finally win and Ricochet gives in and becomes part of Retribution. Now what? Now what are they going to do? Nothing? Is the answer nothing? Because I'm pretty sure they're not going to have any ideas past this.
The only scenario I come up with is Ricochet does a match with a stipulation, and if I recall, wait a minute, didn't they do this stipulation already with somebody? Was it Cedric Alexander they did it with? There was a stipulation where somebody wrestled somebody in Retribution, or it might have been the Hurt Business, and said, look, if I win this match, you don't bother me anymore about joining your group. But if I lose this match, I'll join your group. Wasn't it Cedric for the Hurt Business?
Yeah, I believe so.
They're probably going to do that with Ricochet. But in this case, Ricochet will lose, and he will be forced to join Retribution, and he will be the one with the big puss on his face. Like Hobbs in AEW, he looks like he's constipated all the time. That's what Ricochet is going to be. He's going to be this guy with this really sad look on his face that he's being forced to do things that he doesn't want to do, and we're all going to feel sorry for him. And then the day that he says, no more, and then you realize it's just LED screens, so, you know, people are going to pop and you're not going to hear anything. Because all that... Yeah, go ahead.
Not for much longer. Those live audiences are going to be coming back next year. Even if it's just a trickle, it's going to start coming back to normal. They're not going to be able to do those little Jedi mind tricks with the audience anymore. And the fake laughter and the fake cheering and the fake booing.
Devin M.
Shit, yeah, it's
Devin M. This is even better. It wasn't Cedric with the Hurt Business. It was Ali.
Oh,
it was Ali in the Hurt Business.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's so bad. It's so fucking bad. You actually take a step back and think about some of these second and third tier storylines. There's like 3 or 4 of them going, and they're all similar. Right. You know, like MVP scouting Stinkin' Vink. Now all of a sudden you have what's his face, Malcolm Bivens scouting whatever, blah blah blah, Tyler Rust or whatever. You have Ali doesn't want to wrestle the Hurt Business, you know, and now you could have I'm telling you, Ricochet will wrestle probably Ali in a match with the stipulation that if I win, you never bother me again. If I lose, I will join your group. And then Ricochet will lose, and he will be the reluctant. In fact, you know what? You have, what's Mia Yim's name? Reckoning? You have Reckoning, you got T-Bar, you got Scumbag and all that. I think Ricochet's name in Retribution should be Reluctant. Seriously, he is reluctant walking down the ring.
Fear in the hearts of everyone. Who's coming after you? Reluctant. So should I be worried? I mean,
I'd pop if they called him Dirty Sanchez.
Really kind of shit the bed. You know, the direction of this group could have been something interesting, could have been something unique. I still feel that you may have been onto something when this was an idea that was being proposed, that this was Shane McMahon's pick, that these people were groomed by Shane McMahon in order to attack the company, and that might have been some kind of angle that was eventually killed off for what we have today. But what we have right now it's literally just, what is it? Wasted talent. I mean, that's what they should call it.
Yeah. Tonight we had Randy Orton come out.
Right.
You know, cutting his promo about what he did last night to the Fiend. And, you know, him giving us, you know, the 12-inch version of the recap. You know, anybody that goes back my ways with records, you know what the 12-inch version is. Yeah. And then the lights go out. I didn't think there was any chance of the Fiend being there, but as you and I said yesterday, Alexa Bliss needed to be on tonight's Raw. And sure enough, the lights go out. And, you know, look, some of this is pre-recorded because you can't get... you know, the swing set in the ring in 5 seconds. You can't do it and set it up. So some of this is pre-recorded, obviously. But the lights go out. Randy Orton is outside the ring because he got creeped out when the music, when the lights started going out. And when the lights come back on, you have Alexa Bliss, and apparently there's a new segment called Alexa's Playground. Basically, she's no longer sitting at a table with coffee cups. She's going to be on a swing set. And there's actually a second swing, which you really can't see in this picture. But I'll tell you the one thing that was funny. She's swinging back and forth. And she's like, Randy, come in and join me. This is fun. Let's go on a swing. And Randy Orton, reluctantly started going in the ring. And I said to myself, could you just imagine if this guy actually sits on the swing? Even if he doesn't, go back and forth. But it just, she started cracking her own jokes, fire jokes like, oh, Bray Wyatt might be on the beach. Hopefully he doesn't get sunburn. You know what the Fiend's favorite food is? He might be at his favorite restaurant. He likes barbecue. That's what she was doing tonight. But she also told Randy that if he comes back, it's going to be, worse than he ever expected. I don't know. What'd you think of that segment tonight? I mean,
it was okay. The visuals of Alexa Bliss wearing a little schoolgirl outfit probably got a lot of people into the match or into the segment. As far as it goes, it sends the precedent that maybe Bray Wyatt is going to have another alteration, another change of character. I'm not sure if this is necessarily inking the dotted line on that, but what could I possibly say? It was very open-ended. It didn't answer anything. Clearly, the Randy Orton Bray Wyatt feud will continue. It is a blood feud, and it's going to continue on. And Alexa Bliss being out there just kind of confirmed that, and that's really the only thing we got out of this tonight. Other than the fact that Randy Orton doesn't have trouble sleeping anymore. After murdering someone, Randy Orton finds peace and can go to bed. So I'm good. But other than that, there's really nothing that was developed. There could have been a lot of questions answered. There could have been a lot of ways that they actually had this tonight. Alexa Bliss could have come out there angry and said, you killed him. You killed the Fiend. That was it.
Well, you can't kill a monster, Mish. That's the storyline. That's why she's not upset. You can't kill a monster.
The Fiend is the character, though, too. She didn't say you killed Bray Wyatt. I'm saying if you had her go out there and cry and, beat on Randy's chest, why did you kill the Fiend? He's gone now. And then the Fiend returns at some point in the future and fucks with Randy Orton. That would have made sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. This whole segment was goofy.
You're going to get Papa Shango stuff. I don't, kind of sort of like Papa Shango and the Warrior. The only difference is, Randy Orton is not going to be cutting a promo. Can you imagine if Randy Orton cut a promo like the Ultimate Warrior stuff? Can you imagine the Ultimate Warrior talking that slow? But I don't think Randy Orton suddenly could have blood coming off of him. And I think you're going to see some special effects where something will happen with lights or something's going to happen with, I'm not saying lightning bolts, but you're going to see a couple of weird things going on. And it's basically the Fiend mind games with Randy Orton. But look, people out there, look, if it's something you want to talk about, by all means. But, people are just really overthinking this. He's a monster. It's like a lot of what you and I said yesterday was funny because there's quite a few people that check out our shows every week. After they tuned into the show, I saw their Twitters got heavy. Oh, it's like Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers, that you can't kill the monster. Or, word for word, things we were saying yesterday. But the fact is, the Fiend is a monster. That's the reason why Ramblin' Rabbit has been killed a couple of times, and then the next week he's fine. That's the whole thing is you can't kill something that is not technically a real. You don't understand what I'm saying? That's all it is.
It's not real, and that's the thing didn't the John Cena feud kind of explain that a little bit, that he could travel through time and he could do all these different things as Bray Wyatt and the Fiend because they were figments of his memory or his thoughts. So technically the Fiend is almost like the way that they treated Mick Foley, where Mick Foley had different personalities. He was Cactus Jack, Dude Love, Mankind, Mick Foley, but Mick Foley acted them out as a person. The Fiend character, with his holograms to Dean Ambrose and the snakes on the ramp for Randy Orton, the Fiend character goes back as an idea, as an imaginary character or an imaginary shape of Bray Wyatt's mind. So there might be something completely fucking different, like completely different this time. Because if the one commonality that all these characters have is Bray Wyatt, then he could pretty much create whatever the hell he wanted. Like, it's almost like a Freddy Krueger more than a Jason Voorhees, where Freddy Krueger is the demon in the nightmare realm, you know?
I'm sus.
I don't know. I might be going way too deep on that. I'm sorry, man.
No. I understand what you're saying. It's a psychological thing more than anything else. You know, I think this is why I kind of laugh at older wrestling fans out there. It's like what you said yesterday. The Undertaker, you know, gets put in a casket, and next thing we know, we see like a silhouette going to the heavens. And I don't remember anybody, me or my friends, saying, "The fuck is this? What, are you kidding me?" Like, we just thought it was cool. When you have lightning bolts shooting across the ring and this and that, I don't remember anybody like, "The Undertaker really can't do that. It's stupid." You know, people just like to let things go with things that they really enjoy and find uber cool. But when it's something else that just gets attention on them, they got to over-dissect it. The Fiend is a monster. It's an ideology. It's like what we said a long time ago. When Bray Wyatt is in his house, the Firefly Funhouse, talking and saying what he's saying, there aren't really kids there. Right. In his mind, he hears the, oh, you know, like, that's what it is. They're not really there. It's in his head, just like it's in other people's heads. So Bray Wyatt yesterday, come on, everybody. You look at any typical horror film. When a monster, you think the person is dead. Oh, the house burned to the ground and he was tied inside with a chair. And then they open up the house and they go through the debris. There's no person here. How could that be? How could that be? Jason was drowned. His head's underwater. The body's underwater. They're all sitting on the boat for 6-8 hours, looking around. There's no sign of land. He's dead. He's dead. What, did he become a mermaid? Come on, you're overthinking it. He's a monster. That's it. Right. He's a monster. You can't kill a monster. That's the storyline.
I agree.
Seriously. By the way, Joe Punches, what does this mean? Is this like Florida slang? Before bed, his daughter wanted to tell me, sus. Sus. I never heard sus. Is that like, I don't know. What does that mean? Sus. I'm right?
Suspect. It means you're suspect.
I'm suspect?
Yeah. Yeah.
Joe, I don't think your daughter should be tuning into this stuff. But, you know, sweet dreams. Now, Joe is good family, man. Much love as always. Seriously, I thank you and I thank everybody for tuning in. By the way, if you're enjoying the show, as we always say, we would really appreciate it if you hit that like button, because it does notify YouTube and it does something with algorithms that the more it recommends to other people about our shows. And, absolutely, man, absolutely. And Crazy Cruiserweight, we need to get more. Hi, Billy. Look, Billy, I'm on TV, Billy. From former NWA wrestlers on AEW. T-Bar gets the McRib. It's, dinner, yeah. See, whenever I hear the word Billy, I always think, what was that movie with Jim Carrey? Didn't he do something like he played with some guy's nipple and he's like, oh, Billy?
Yeah, Cable Guy.
Cable Guy, I think it was.
Right. Was it Matthew? Who's the other guy? Matthew Broderick? No.
Was it him? I don't know. I look, ever since Jim Carrey did Andy Kaufman, I really wasn't a big fan of Jim Carrey anymore, although I loved his performance in it as Andy Kaufman. Loved it. I don't know if you all out there has ever seen the documentary of the filming of, the Andy Kaufman Man on the Moon. Seriously, if you've never seen it, in fact, I know it's going to look kind of weird in the synopsis when people are like, why is this thrown in there? If you've never seen the behind the scenes, I don't know what the title is. Someone in the chat will probably post the title and I'll give you credit for it. And people are like, that's it. But there was like a documentary where they followed Jim Carrey around and it's about 90 minutes long. And it's all behind the scenes footage of Jim Carrey really becoming Andy Kaufman. And there's behind the scenes footage with Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross. And it's outstanding, but it also, Andy and Me. Is that it, 90s Guy? I think 90s Guys got it. Andy and Me. Yeah. Did you ever see it?
Yeah, I did.
How crazy was that?
It was basically Jim Carrey method acting to the point where he wanted to be Andy Kaufman, or in the vein of Andy Kaufman, so badly that he was willing to do everything that Andy Kaufman did to those people. And it was kind of funny because he was actually enraging his coworkers and the staff and everybody else. But the people that mattered, that knew Andy directly, they were like, fucking spot on. Good job. The people that were helping to create this character were like, you got it. You're Andy Kaufman. And it was this weird pseudo effect where it almost seemed like it was more than just a role, like Jim Carrey was trying to channel Andy Kaufman. And I don't know. It was wild. It was almost excessive. Like, you don't look at acting and think that people get into their roles that deeply, but this was one of those cases where this entire thing, this documentary or this backstage segment or whatever the hell it was filmed in order to catch the differences between Jim and Andy and, how far he was willing to go in order to sell this movie. Yeah, seriously, if you all out there liked Andy Kaufman, even wrestling stuff or Man on the Moon, go out of your way to see that. I promise you will come back and say that you loved it, but at the same time, you'll have a different view of Jim Carrey. I thought he was weird as fuck after that, but I loved it. I didn't care at that time. I loved it. Right. Now, speaking of 90s, I want to very quickly pay a couple of moments tribute to somebody who passed away today. Now, to be honest, he's only appeared in WCW for a dozen appearances. He wasn't in there that long. But I personally thought he did an excellent job for what he needed to do. And not only the wrestling stuff, Kevin Greene, I'll put him over here. Kevin Greene, without question, one of the greatest football players as far as just on the defense side. I mean, this guy, I think, from looking at the notes today, I think Kevin Greene was third as far as all-time leaders of sacks. He's the only person in NFL history to have double-digit sacks for 4 different teams: the Rams, the Steelers, the 49ers, and the Panthers. Pro Football Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. But Kevin Greene passed away at the age of 58 years old. I mean, a lot of you will remember, most importantly, where he teamed up with Roddy Piper and Ric Flair. They took on Kevin Nash, Scott Hall in 6. He went at it with Steve McMichael a little bit because Steve McMichael was from the Bears, obviously. But Kevin Greene, I thought, was pretty damn good. I will say this. As much as WCW ended up becoming an epic fail, I don't think there's any question. And I have love for Steve McMichael. I have professed that since 1997 doing this stuff. Yes, there were times Steve McMichael's number one problem was that he would do decent in the ring and not know when to say when. Like, he would just get excited and try to do even more, and that's when he would screw up during a match. Right. But looking back on it, Kevin Greene, Steve Mongo McMichael, Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone, those 4 guys alone Right.
going outside of their element and doing some wrestling. And Kevin Greene, especially being a huge fan of pro wrestling, I thought he did a fine job as a pro wrestler. And when you start dissecting his football stats, I mean, this is one of the greatest defensive players of our generation.
Yeah, he had his career? He was third in the NFL for defense. He had 23 forced fumbles, 5 interceptions, and 160 sacks for his career, which is insane when you think about it.
It is. I mean, my God, growing up, I thought Lawrence Taylor was the greatest defensive player that I ever saw. And then you get older and you see Reggie White also did a little stuff as well. But
right.
58 years old, I mean, way too young. We have no idea what the cause of death was, but he died today. And,
young too. I mean, you know what? And I made a tweet. I mentioned this, on Twitter and shit like that. But it's like, you see somebody like this pass away young. And at what point do we second guess why our older legends are still out there wrestling? It's just, at what point do we look at, people passing away this early and say, maybe we shouldn't put the 65-year-old guy in the middle of the ring? I don't know.
Some people I just think are freaks in nature.
I mean, I'm not directly alluding to anything, but I mean, obviously the main course of discussion on this would be Sting. But there's a lot of people that want to see Sting still wrestle. And it's kind of like, man, he went through some major injuries not that long ago. Do we really want to put him? And I'm not saying that people are going to go out of their way and hurt Sting. Of course not. But fucking accidents happen. And the older you get, the harder it is for you to bounce back from those accidents. And something that could have just been a sprain when he was, 30 years old could be
tear off the bone injury.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I'll use Bruiser Brody as an example. We all, or if you want to get a little newer, I'll use Kurt Angle versus Bret Hart as an example.
Okay.
When we have people that we were fans of growing up, and as you get older and you have a new crop of wrestlers that come in,
yeah,
because these people were so important to your wrestling fandomhood, you fantasize. And you always wonder, oh my God, could you imagine what it would have been like if Kurt Angle was able to wrestle Kenny Omega, or Kurt Angle was able to wrestle Bret Hart? Or could you imagine, this person against this person? Or, oh man, if, everybody always fantasize Undertaker Sting, and yeah, their age is a little similar, but you could take someone from the 80s and someone from today and fantasize about it. Sting is a case where, even though he's older, because, and I've said this a few times already, because, Sting, I think, knows his body, and has never had a point in his career where he looked out of shape, looked like he couldn't do it. Nobody was complaining when he faced Seth Rollins. The injury obviously was fucked up, but there was never a point in Sting's career that we ever looked at him, out in the ring and said, why is this guy out there? He's too old, or he's too out of shape, or he's too this. The only time I even thought I questioned it at all was when he was feuding with Abyss. And it just didn't feel like it would have clicked. And then you see Sting fighting Abyss, and you see thumbtacks and all this. I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. So, because we loved Sting so much, now because he's in AEW, you can't help but to hold on to that younger fandomhood when Sting was in his prime, and just fans, could you imagine if Sting teamed up with Darby Allin or Cody and did this and that? And we try to forget. And you know what it is too? Sting has face paint. And I always remember the Missing Link. The Missing Link wrestled until, I don't know if he was close to 70. And he would make appearances here and there. You have face paint on, and you have your outfit on. Other than the hair thinning a little bit, you look like the same person from 20 years earlier. Yes, Missing Link gained weight, but Sting, other than the thinning hair, you would think this is Sting from 20 years ago, physically. And, you know, that's why for a little while we lose that sense of reality and think, oh, man, could you just imagine if he could still go? And maybe he can go. And maybe because WWE is so paranoid with injuries, look what happened with Daniel Bryan. Maybe Daniel Bryan didn't need to retire for that long, but WWE had such, you know, serious protocol because they were paranoid about something going wrong. Maybe Sting could have returned sooner. We don't know.
Yeah.
But I say now, I trust Sting, that if Sting thinks that he could actually do something, you know, then I trust him because of all these years. Shawn Michaels was the last person that I trusted that, hey, if he thinks he could still go and he's doing it in Saudi Arabia, even though it's the Saudi Arabia payday, even though WWE wants to convince you that Undertaker asked him to do it, you know, I trusted that also. And then we saw what we saw. And obviously Shawn Michaels realized that was a mistake. I don't think any of us out there want to have the same feeling towards Sting that we had towards Shawn Michaels in Saudi Arabia. But once again, we don't know what Sting's role is going to be in AEW. Maybe he wrestles, maybe he doesn't. So I'd rather just sit back and just see where it goes. You know?
Yeah.
But, so, you know, rest in peace, absolutely, Kevin Greene, you know. It's a shame, you know, that the guy didn't do more for wrestling at the time, but he was still playing football. He was still playing football. I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize. But the work he did, I thought he was fine. But anyway, let's get into Raw a little bit more specific, and then we'll start wrapping it up a little bit. Sure. Charlotte and Asuka open up the show. And, you know, Charlotte is talking about returning and teaming up with her friend Asuka and all this other stuff. And then they're interrupted by Nia and Shayna.
Right.
And I thought it was funny because, and everybody picked up on it, Charlotte called Shayna Blazer.
Yeah.
Like as in a jacket. And I thought about it, I'm like, because obviously she made a mistake with her name. But I was thinking if Charlotte called her Shayna Blazer, she should have called Nia Jackets. You know, just, you know, it would have come off better. But, you know, Nia said that Charlotte sounds like a robot, which you and I have said over the years as well. Charlotte sometimes gets robotic in her promos. But in my opinion, Nia is not any better. No. Nia is just like, oh, Charlotte, you don't realize this. Oh, Charlotte. Oh, she does the same thing. And then the god-awful Dana Brooke, and remember, I can't say it, Mandy. That's how we have to say it. It's just like, what a, like,
she can't talk. Dude, Dana is so bad. And I thought, you know, I forgot what word it was. She was having trouble with words out there. Not necessarily because she couldn't pronounce them. She was having troubles with words because she has so much shit in her lips that she can't actually say words correctly. It's just, not me. I think she's literally a case of too much surgery. She can't close her mouth properly. It's silly. She's silly.
You know, look, I like Mandy Rose, but I think with this head, not with that head, to say it that way.
Ah, yes.
I mean, a lot of people out there, because they're fine to look at, you know, let's not mix words. Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose, just the presentation is not very good. And when Mandy Rose comes out, and she flubbed it because she says to Dana Brooke, Dana, there's something different about you. No, it's not. Yes, there's something different about you. No, it's not. Well, maybe it's not, but there's something different about them. Oh, you're not champions anymore. What was that at the beginning? And then the best part, because of the scripted lines, oh, Nia, you look like Rudolph with the nose, and Shayna, all you're missing is antlers. And I was like, and Mandy, all you're missing is a sense of fucking humor. The segment trying to portray that Dana Brooke and Mandy have some, presence. This may not be all their fault. This is WWE and the way they've utilized them. But talk about yes, you got to use them and try to elevate them. But, oh my God, that opening was just, when you fart, when you fart sometimes and no one is around and you feel it coming and you just want to just let it out and you let it out, but then you realize that there's something actually accompanying it to the ring, and then you realize, oh shit, and then you feel like liquid and you race to the bathroom and you realize your fart actually had some, unfortunate interference. That's what this is like. It's not just a dry fart. You fart and then you inadvertently let some additional shit come out, and that's what we had tonight. It was bad enough for Nia and Shayna with the dry humor with Charlotte and Asuka, but then you have the Hollywood blondes come out. I mean, I don't know what that was, but what a shit way to open up Raw.
Yeah, it was very lackluster. The girls can't talk. I'm sorry, Dana is not believable in any way. And like I said, she has too much shit in her face. She can't even cut a promo. Mandy's script didn't make sense. I'm sure it made sense when the writer originally wrote it, right? So, I don't know, dude. It's quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Quid pro quo.
The best part about it also, I know we're jumping a little ahead, but that's how we do it. You add later on Dana and Mandy versus Nia and Shayna. I beg you all, please go back and watch it. I know it's not that big of a deal, but it just sums up why you don't put Mandy Rose and Dana versus Nia and Shayna. There was one point in the match where Nia Jax...
What's the worker between those two?
Huh?
Can I ask you that? Isn't that how wrestling tag teams work? Is, one of them's the worker and the other one's the cleanup? And who's the worker between Dana Brooke and Mandy?
That's a good question.
Can anybody answer me that question? I have no fucking clue.
Some people have said over the years, oh, that's the Shawn Michaels of the team, and that's the Marty Jannetty.
Dana Brooke is the Shawn
I wouldn't
Michaels?
even call them both Marty Jannettis. It's what is there's a spot that happened tonight. Mandy. She was outside the ring with Nia Jax, and the camera was focused right on both of them. I want you, please, everybody, please go back and watch Mandy trying to roll and put Nia back in the ring.
Yeah.
She didn't know where to grab. I could see if it was a guy and kind of nervous if you actually touched the buttock, not in a sexual way. Mandy had no idea how to, in storyline, roll Nia Jax back in the ring because of the size difference. Please, everybody, go back and watch that one spot and you realize should not have happened. And then the best, after Dana gets choked out with the Kirifuda clutch and Shayna puts it on and Dana, and she taps out. Go back and watch. After Dana and Mandy got them out of the ring, I guess to get their buzz back, if there even was any, focus on Dana Brooke. You see Dana Brooke, she forgets that she just got choked out from the Kirifuda clutch. You actually will see her go do something like this. Oh fuck. In her mind, she's like,
right.
Oh fuck. And she starts grabbing her neck. And then when she thought the camera wasn't on her, she's acting like she's got no pain and she's like this.
Right.
The fuck out of here.
They don't know what they're doing, dude. It goes back to the same rhetoric that we've been spreading over the last few weeks. How in the fuck are these girls supposed to know how to sell if they have no idea what the pain is? So them running and doing something like this and then getting caught 2 seconds later doing this doesn't surprise me. Doesn't fucking surprise me.
FT Gaggiano says Hornswoggle has more talent. You want to know something? He does. And you know what? I know some people may think, oh, we're being a little bit too hard on Mandy and Dana. You know,
No,
not for nothing, man.
We're not.
I'm being serious for a minute. I know we joke a little bit, you know, try to put smiles on people's faces. It's not that serious. But let's also be honest for a minute. You know, Dana Brooke has been on the main roster now for years. Mandy has been on the main roster for a little while now. This is not somebody fresh, you know, that just got into wrestling. I mean, especially Dana. She's been on it. How many times over the years? It's my time. It's my time to shine. It's now my turn. It's my time. No, it's not. And I don't think it ever will be.
No.
Seriously. Unless they do a lemon
There's a lot of
sucking
women on that
contest.
roster that need to get superstars shook up right out the damn door. So, and Dana's high on that list, in my opinion. So
Even with Charlotte and Asuka on commentary, that was a little bit off. You know, Charlotte trying to make it sound like Dana and, you know, like, woo, you're like, look at these Spitfires. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just, man.
I think she was just talking shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more of Charlotte's MO. This fake altruism. She's very good at that. Yeah. Sarcasm. She's very good at that.
Oh, absolutely. She's got to go back to heel. I mean, once this.
Right. Yeah. Charlotte as a face is not best Charlotte. Charlotte as Queen Bitch, that's best Charlotte. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or she could be like sarcastic Charlotte right now, you know? And if you notice in a promo tonight, you know, Charlotte, she'll say, oh, my friend asked me to come back, you know, to do a favor. But she added the sentence, as long as there was something in it for me. So that's what Charlotte will always take the situation and put it back on herself. That's the whole character of Charlotte. Me. Okay, I'm teaming with her, but so I could get a title. And that works. That works. I love when social media gets triggered. Like Charlotte is like Charlotte 19. Like that's the virus of WWE. Charlotte 19 is that's the virus for the women's division because she comes back and here's all these people losing opportunities. Who's losing opportunities? Why am I looking this way? Who's losing opportunities? The only person I feel lost an opportunity was Mia Yim. Yeah. Because if you remember with the attacks, they were setting up Reckoning versus Asuka. And then Charlotte was ready to return. They shifted that, and Charlotte obviously is doing what she's doing with Asuka right now. So now we have the Hurt Business. Basically, there's a guy in the back that looks like Marco Stunt wearing a New Day shirt, so they tear it off his body.
Much.
Yeah, it was what it was.
Yeah.
But you know what? Your idea yesterday that MVP needs to be the 24/7 champion, I think that's happening.
Yeah.
I think it's happening.
Yeah, they did that with I saw that when R-Truth popped out there for the photo bomb and he was right behind MVP.
Yeah.
I'm like, there it is. There it is. That might be the breadcrumb that we'll see later on down
Absolutely,
the road.
Man.
Yeah.
Basically, for people that didn't see it, MVP and her business, they did MVP's VIP lounge. And they're bragging about yesterday. And by the way, very cool thing for people that don't know, Shelton Benjamin yesterday dedicated his match and his title win to Shad Gaspard, which I thought was really, really nice. Also, Kofi got 2 teeth knocked out yesterday during that match. You go on Kofi's social media, you'll see, he's got 2 teeth just on the mat. But he paid a little bit of respect to those guys, and I'll never forget that bar when Kofi won the title. You had Shad Gaspard there, and MVP, and a few others. And the minute Kofi got that pin and became the heavyweight champion, and you saw those tears coming down their eyes, I mean, that was just a very, very special moment. I thought it was so cool to have that tribute to Shad yesterday, that was dedicated to him. So that was awesome. But tonight, they're paying, tributes to themselves and bragging and everything. And they want to, remember this moment. So they all pose in a ring for a picture. And in the background, like you said, R-Truth photobombs with the 24/7 title. Then everybody chases him away. But I think Wednesday, since they didn't do it tonight, maybe Wednesday for the Slammies, MVP beats R-Truth, becomes 24/7 champion, and we will get that picture of every member of the Hurt Business with gold.
Right.
So,
and they definitely made it kind of like they alluded to it tonight by doing the big photo op with everybody wearing gold and stuff like that, saying stuff like we could do this all day. So you're right. I can see it right over the horizon that they're going to have another one at the Slammies where perhaps they all have gold. So
yep. Now they also got interrupted from Jeff Hardy and Riddle. And, this is to set up the match later on in the night of MVP and Lashley. They call them the Hardy Bros for a short period of time. And I think Tom Phillips might have screwed up once or twice saying call them the Hardy Boys. I mean, obviously that's going to happen. But I don't know, man. Matt Riddle is so goddamn talented, and I'm more concerned. I'm not worried about his in-ring work, but I'm more concerned how WWE is utilizing Matt Riddle's character than I am about Keith Lee or Otis. So what did you think about that back and forth with Jeff Hardy and Riddle in the Hurt Business tonight?
Oh, Matt Riddle's promo was awful. He could barely keep up. He was stumbling over himself. He was saying the wrong lines. I don't know if he was actually high when he came out there, but it was not good. It was not a good promo, and it didn't set up anything in my mind for the future. So,
yep. Angel Garza beating Drew Gulak in about 2 minutes. Before the match, Sarah Schreiber is interviewing Garza, and Garza gives her a rose, and he's basically like trying to, I guess, like sweet talk Sarah Schreiber a little bit. I honestly, and we've talked about this before, the minute 2 weeks ago he gave the rose to someone off camera, that should have been it. No more rose giving to anyone else. Unless the off-camera thing was just another person that he's giving a rose to, which, I don't know, man. I mean, they need to progress this a little bit more. I don't think this needs to be kept in suspense. I mean, Angel Garza's not feuding with anybody right now.
Right.
So why not just, if it's going to be Eva Marie, why not just make the announcement? He's going to bring her out. He's going to reveal who, or he's found that person, and he's going to reveal that person the following week, unless maybe if it is Eva Marie, maybe they're not ready, or WWE doesn't feel that she's ready for the return to TV. I mean, all she's got to do is be in the corner and just clap and show like a little bit of infatuation to Angel Garza. I mean, nobody's asking her to be like Lita and Essa Rios, that she's got to do a move off the top rope every time when the ref is turned. All she got to do is just look pretty outside the ring and show a little bit of infatuation to Angel Garza.
I don't know. There's nothing to this to me. I'm not really expecting Eva to light the world on fire when she returns, and the rose thing is just it's filler, DT.
Yeah.
There's nothing to it. This is literally filler. This is just WWE trying to get from point A to point B, and that's all it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just don't see it as a big deal,
Yeah.
It's difficult. Yeah.
We have Miz TV. And Miz is talking about last night's Royal Rumble, brings up him cashing in 10 years ago. And
this was good.
I thought this was very good. Look, I mean, you and I have said it. We're fans of Miz and Morrison. We liked them on TV, just not.
Absolutely.
Too much of anything is not good.
Though I think Jomo and AJ Styles should never cut promos on each other again.
Yeah.
What was Jomo calling AJ Styles? A shortbread shortcake or some shit? Like,
it's all
they were
fed.
trying to make puns, and it was really bad. It was kind of goofy, but there was a little shining star in that. before they came to the realization, before Miz came to the realization that he's still technically a Money in the Bank holder. I thought his response to AJ Styles accusing him of not only losing the match for AJ Styles, but losing the match for himself. When Miz went into the whole, you don't think I know that? You don't think that 10 years ago when I was the champion for Money in the Bank that I don't realize what I just lost? I thought that was really good. You know, Miz is indeed an interesting character when it comes to, you know, cutting a promo, because he can tap into something. There is a place inside of Miz that he can tap into these really good promos where they're heartfelt, they're emotional, and you believe that he believes that way.
Because it's based on reality.
John Morrison doesn't have it, you know, and AJ Styles, while he's a good foil and he can cut an okay promo, it depends on who he's cutting the promo against, because it was literally night and day. When AJ Styles is talking to The Miz, AJ Styles is doing a good job of being the antagonist to the way that Miz felt for losing the actual briefcase. But then when AJ Styles 10 seconds later is talking to John Morrison, they're stumbling over each other's words and trying to make Christmas cookie puns. And I'm like, ugh.
And AJ...
It's like, how do you have something that's actually interesting and complete shit in the same segment? It was just... And almost getting involved. I mean...
Wait a minute. What? Sounds like I stepped on a cow. Wait a minute. I stepped on a horse.
Guys, I have an opinion.
I like Almost, man. I'm telling you, I know this sound. I mean, look, it's WWE's fault. Said that some of the way they utilized them. But I even like today when he caught John Morrison, you know, like John Morrison fell into Almost's arms, and because they were on the same team, like John Morrison felt like, oh, I'm saved, I'm rescued, and then Almost just turns around and just dumps him through a table. Like, yeah. I could see that almost every week. That could be the new Lana table segment. I mean, Almost is funny, but right. I like he's got a swagger about him that just comes off, and he doesn't need to like create that. Like, some people just have this natural charisma about themselves. It just oozes off of them. There's no, like, some people try to create it, some people try to duplicate it, some people try to force it out of people, and then there's just some people that just something about them, it just oozes off. And I like Almost, man. I tell you, I want to know who came up with the idea of putting Almost and AJ Styles together. I got to find that out, because it's smart. Such an interesting pairing. But I like it.
They play off of each other, and I think that there's more to that relationship that we don't see, which maybe they'll explore down the road if they ever give any character development to Almost, besides big guy picks up little guy. But until then, it's an interesting dynamic between the two. But
you know what's interesting, man? We're one of the only shows the last couple of weeks that said to everybody, this shit about the big guys going to the performance center, it's noise. Yeah. They're just training. This is how many times you guys hear it from us for weeks saying, this is the time that you go to the performance center and work out. You don't have house shows. Sure. Some people only wrestle once or twice a month. This is the time. And we all kept saying from day one, it's noise. Ignore it. These guys are fine. And look what has transpired in 2 weeks. T-Bar tonight, impressive win on Ricochet. Otis, impressive win on not only Friday, but at the pay-per-view as well. Keith Lee, impressive win tonight. And Almost... more physical, more involved. They did that thing yesterday where they had the bolts obviously loose on the chair. So when Morrison hit him with the chair, the part of the chair went flying. Every person, even Dio Manning, who was on that list too, every person the last 2 weeks done pretty damn good for themselves. So it's noise, man. It's noise. But so it seems like the split between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre is going to be because of Keith Lee. Because early on, you had AJ Styles drop kick Keith Lee into Sheamus. And Sheamus didn't like that all that much. And Drew, stop it. We need to be a cohesive tag team. I don't even know what nationality I sound like. But, so they're building friction up between Keith Lee and Sheamus. And this is a seed planted a few weeks ago where Keith Lee is trying to tell Drew, don't trust him, don't trust him, don't trust him. Sheamus watches his TV. Sheamus knows Keith Lee in storyline is telling Drew this. So there's tension there. And it's building. And it broke to a boiling point tonight with the main event, which we'll get into in a moment. But as we just said, T-Bar beat Ricochet in 2 minutes. And, basically Ali distracted Ricochet for a little bit. T-Bar hit the Feast Your Eyes for the win. And then, Ali with the weird infatuation storyline-wise, this doesn't stop until you join us. I don't know, man. I tell you, it's weird. I don't even think that would be like a good porn, a good gay porn. No, and I'm only saying because they're the same sex. But I'm just saying, I don't even think you could come up with a good porn flick out of this. Huh?
Right. I said, well, if they weren't the same sex, then it wouldn't be gay porn.
Right. Well, that's why I said gay porn, because they're the same sex. But I'm just saying, I don't even think this would be like a good adult film. It's just this is a weirdness to it. It's a real weirdness. Jackson Riker, we won't go down the lane that we went last week, but it was, obviously to show how social media has treated this guy, ever since he supported Trump publicly. But Jackson Riker, Elias is in his corner. Elias is trying to do a song. Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado come out there, and we have a match between Jackson Riker and Grand Metalik. Didn't even last a minute. Jackson Riker is impressive. We've seen him in NXT. We've seen the Forgotten Sons for a brief cup of coffee. So we know this guy can go. I just don't know if it'll ever click with the WWE audience. There's always going to be that core group of people that will always use this Trump support as a reason to put this guy down. He could be the best talent on the roster, and they would still use that to put him down.
You really think so? You think that people will eventually forgive the Trump crap?
Yeah. Wow. Maybe if Trump doesn't run again, and we get further and further apart from Trump's presidency, then I can see it. Because look, there was a point where if you supported Bush, the son, because remember when Obama first became president, everything was blame it on Bush, blame it on Bush, blame it on Bush. So if you showed support for Bush, you really, you didn't get shoes thrown at you, only he did, but you would get a lot of criticism. But as years have gone by, there's a lot of people out there that said, you know what, I'd take George Bush over Donald Trump any day of the week. So as the years go by, it's not that bad. I think as the years go, but the problem is, does WWE give Jackson Riker that much time for that to boil over? I think that is, because go on Twitter tonight and just type in his name, and you will see, literally, out of every 10 comments, you'll see at least 3 or 4 that bring up that he's a racist, he's a Trump supporter, he's this, he's that. The people just need to hold on to something to rip somebody.
Yeah, fair enough.
Randy Orton segment, which we already talked about earlier, about him, like you said, no more has the voices in his head, and interrupted by Alexa Bliss, and now, Alexa's playground. And we will see where this goes. Look, I personally, we talked about it in detail before. This is a monster, you can't kill him. But I also think that this is a case similar to Finn Balor with the Demon, that if we're going to see it, it's going to be on a real special occasion, and it's got to really mean something. I think that's what they want to do with the Fiend. Here's the problem, though. Bray Wyatt, the Firefly Funhouse, and the Fiend sell crazy, 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 crazy ass amounts of merchandise. You're not going to take this character and put it on the shelf and say that it's dead when you still are selling. Look, I bought 2 freaking Bray Wyatt lanterns, and I know people who have bought for Christmas, great English, who bought Fiend replica masks. Sure. It sells a lot of merchandise. So this character is going to be brought back. But right. I think for now, maybe because things are so mundane, and maybe with the Royal Rumble, and maybe because they don't want to push this with Randy Orton for a little while, that maybe the only way that they can actually put this on a pause is make us think that he's dead.
Maybe. I still think that they're definitely going to develop the feud with Randy Orton, so it's not like they're going to completely ignore where this is going. And obviously the bridge with Alexa Bliss tonight also helped to sit there and say, okay, well, you've won this round, Randy, but tomorrow is another day. And it's like, okay, got it. Blood feud continues. Game on,
And we will see Bray Wyatt.
Oh, yeah.
We will see Bray Wyatt very, very soon.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bray Wyatt sooner than we think as Bray Wyatt, but we won't see the Fiend for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
So Bray Wyatt, people need to remember the Fiend might have been crisp, but not Bray Wyatt. So I would say you'll probably see Bray Wyatt on TV within the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Unless there's some family thing that he needs to be off TV for a little while, I think we'll see Bray Wyatt.
Has JoJo already had the kid?
Yeah, I believe so. Sure. Yeah, we saw pictures of him.
Right,
I don't remember if it was a him or a her. I think it might have been a girl. Yeah. So, no, actually, chat room. Bray Wyatt and JoJo, they had a boy or a girl? I think they had a girl. So there's like a 7-second delay because I don't know if people have noticed. On YouTube they have 3 different latency settings, and yes, it was a girl. Thank you, James. You have like ultra latency, medium, or low, or something like that. And I always had it on like the best latency, which could cause some buffering issues. Ever since I made it in the middle, we've had no issues with connection. So we had a segment tonight, Titus O'Neil. I thought this was pretty cool. He has his own foundation called the Bullard Family Foundation. And he's been involved with Sly Middle Magnet School in Tampa, Florida. And basically, they just gave away, his foundation, his charity, gave away 5 cars to families that needed it. On Raw tonight, they only focused on one woman. Her name is Virginia Lowell. She's been working for the school for 27 years. This is a picture of Titus with all of these people. The one thing I thought was hilarious is if you go back and you watch the WWE segment, then if you look at all the news articles in Florida covering this, not only did Titus give away 5 cars, but he also gave away all his masks. I mean, he was around like uber elderly people, and he had no mask on. I mean, not just for photo ops, but just like hanging out, and he gives the keys to someone and not wearing a mask. So, bravo to him for all his generosity. But, I could see for maybe the WWE segment, but you look at all the coverage in Florida on this, motherfucker didn't wear a mask even once. Maybe there is a photo out there that I didn't see, but I saw they gave away cars to 5 families, not just the one tonight. No sign of a mask.
Damn.
So, Asuka and Charlotte Flair beating Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. What's going on with this Lacey Evans Peyton Royce tag team?
I don't know. It's just a shuffle around. I mean, it's the new Iconics. It's a way to put Lacey in the middle of this. It's an aimless direction, more filler, another tag team for whoever the champ is to go through next week. I don't see anything coming of this. this isn't a serious tag team. It's completely tandem and random, and I could care less for it. I don't know. Do you think there's any kind of motivation for these two? Like, even the reason that they're on screen doesn't even make sense. Like, there's no backstory to them. There's no real reason that I see that they even have any desire to go forward. It's almost like they just threw these two together because once they got rid of Billy Kay, Peyton Royce needed somebody because Peyton Royce isn't good enough to be a single star.
I'll make a prediction. If Billy Kay is not released, or Peyton Royce, I'm not saying either one, but if neither are released by next year, when we're allowed to have fans back at shows, I think WWE will reform the Iconics. And the reason why I say that is... Oh, no, I'll tell you why I say that. Billy Kay is the more annoying person with the promos. Without Billy Kay, Peyton Royce really doesn't have any promo exchange anymore. A lot of times when she comes out for matches, she don't even talk anymore. You think of all those segments where they would bounce off of each other, almost like, you know, what Team Flawless was, or whatever, you know, the Undertaker's wife and what's-her-face. You know, that's what it felt like. So I think once we no longer, because the Iconics promos, what WWE loved about it the most is how much it got under the live fans' skin. They would boo and everything like that. Once we got just LED screens and no reactions at all, like they would cut a promo and it was very awkward because Billy Kay would say something, Peyton Royce would bounce off of her, and then Billy Kay would bounce off of that, and there's no crowd reaction to it because there's no crowd there. And it would just have this awkward silence to it. And when you're bouncing back and forth and there's no crowd there, it's as if you're in your house doing that. So I think WWE split them up, and they wanted Peyton Royce to be in a tag team, but I don't think without Billy Kay cutting promos in front of live crowds, I think they just felt, you know what, we got to split them up, and we'll put Peyton Royce with someone else. I think at one point they may have thought about putting her as a singles wrestler, but I just think at this point they probably needed her more in a tag team, and Lacey Evans was just in limbo, so they decided to, like you said, randomly put them together. And to me, they could go on social media, they could cut promos all they want about frustration and how they're being used, and it ain't going to change anything. Because fans are not going to suddenly wake up tomorrow and suddenly think, oh my God, they should be pushed for the tag titles. Nothing's going to change anytime soon. What's she going to do, cut a pipe bomb? And what is that going to do? So
I don't know, dude. Peyton Royce has absolutely no value. No value to the company.
Right now, no value. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Lacey Evans at least has a background, a story, and she has ability. She probably needs more of a focus. She did have focus, you know, back when Becky Lynch was around, but ever since then, she's kind of been in the doldrums. So it's, once again, you know, I think it's a failure of creative and a failure of direction. And so here you have two women, one of them who should be wrestling in singles matches up against champions or main event status a lot more than the other. And then you have the other who is the cast off of a failed tag team, who's a failed wrestler, who's a failed talent, who's a failed promo. But because she's cute, they got to keep her around. It's more of the WWE MO, you know, and it's just garbage in this sense. So
yeah. Since we're talking about garbage, it breaks my heart to see Billy Graham turn into what he has, but Ken, terminated by DQ. Do I want to see Billy Graham team up with, well, if they were in their prime, I would have liked to have seen Billy Graham team up with Hogan or feud with Hogan. Well, you got to remember, you know, when they were doing that album Pile Driver, I think it was, when they did that music video at the construction site, you know, they were all juicing like crazy. I mean, Morocco went from the beach bum to like this. The guy was a monster. Billy Graham was juicing big time as well. Billy Graham kind of had some interaction with Hogan, but they were both baby faces. So I would have loved to have seen like 1977 superstar Billy Graham against 1985 Hulk Hogan. I think that would have been fun, especially just the promos back and forth would have been probably something special. Although I don't think WWF would have let Billy Graham say all the things he'd want to say, but that's what I would like to say. Anthony Diaz, you perverted son of a bitch. I don't know why you keep bringing up, people of the same sex, because I like my M&Ms without peanuts. So I can't put suspension of disbelief aside and do a fuck, marry, kill. Reluctant from Retribution, Jim Carrey as Andy Kaufman, or the Fiend's burnt corpse. I mean, I don't even know how to answer this. People love it, tuning in live, but I would marry the Fiend's burnt corpse, because I'd marry him and I don't have to do anything with him because he's dead. It's a burnt mannequin. Didn't they have that movie Mannequin? I think they had a movie Mannequin. I would marry the Fiend's burnt corpse, and then I would plant it in the ground, and hopefully I can make spinach trees with it. As manure. I would. You know what? There's something about Ricochet that I know a lot of people out there, ladies and some men, who find him very, very attractive. Some people actually have admitted that the Dirty Sanchez thing was a little bit, arousing to them. So, if I went that way, I probably, would consider, reluctant. I wouldn't be so reluctant with reluctant. And Jim Carrey, I would kill. Seriously, Jim Carrey, I would kill. Because I could just picture, when there's serious conflict, I could picture having a death in the family. And, I'm really, really down and depressed. Somebody close to my family passed away. And, I'll open the door and Jim Carrey's trying to do goofy faces or, I would probably want to kill him, seriously. I would set him on fire. I would hire Randy Orton, set Jim Carrey on fire, and as he's being burnt alive, he could be on the floor and going, "Spoken!" and just let him fucking die. I don't mean him literally to die, but that's the best way I can describe that. I wish you would do instead of reluctant, maybe reckoning, people that we kind of could fantasize and relate to a little more. Sure. By the way, speaking of women, did you see what Lana wrote on social media about yesterday?
What did Lana write? What did she say?
She said, and I quote, and she really meant this. This is not storyline. She wrote, I have never worked harder in my life to improve at something. I'm genuinely heartbroken to be taken off of TLC. I mean, go ahead.
If the reason is because she's not a great wrestler, look, not everybody gets to be a Hall of Famer. Not everybody gets to score the winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. Not everybody gets what they want. It's admirable that she's tried so hard to improve her wrestling abilities, but it's not in the cards. That is not her gift. That is not her skill. To this day, even in this chat room tonight, when they were bringing up Lana earlier, the one thing that everybody kept saying was, man, Lana's a great manager. Man, Lana was great when she was the Russian manager, wasn't she? The Russian ballet. Yes, she was. That is her skill. At some point during her career, she felt like she had to be more than just a manager. She had to be more than just the actual vocal piece for Rusev. And so they gave her that opportunity, and she's not good. Sorry. You know what I mean? It's not an insult. It's just not everybody gets to be what they want to be. You have a skill set. You have a particular skill set, and you might be better at some things than you are at others in your life. That's just what life is, you know? And I can't feel too bad for her because she's still on TV. She still gets to do what she loves. She still was even given the opportunity to be considered a wrestler in the same vein as some of the other girls on the card. You know, she got the opportunity. There's a lot of people that want to do things and will never have the fucking opportunity. So
I say this. She won Survivor Series.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't think it was in the plans for Asuka and Lana to win yesterday if they would have kept that match. Maybe it was. I don't know. I will say this. We're not wrestlers. We can't relate. But I could picture if they were going to win the tag titles, that she probably didn't know, but let's say yes by a fluke. And imagine working your ass off and just getting to that day, and then a week or two before, because Charlotte is ready to return, creative contacts Lana's like, look, there's been a change of plans, and unfortunately we're going to have to take you off the pay-per-view. And she probably, class act, no, I understand. Look, you got to do what's best for the company. And she probably cried her eyes out after. So I do have sympathy for Lana without a doubt. But she should also take pride that she won Survivor Series, that she's done a hell of a job and did, everything that she could. And I think in the end, a lot of that crap on social media, I think people are starting to lay off a little bit and say, look, she's not obviously that great in the ring, but she worked her ass off, and she's been, and we know that she is, and she really cares, and she's not just CJ Perry, an actress trying to get further in wrestling without putting in the time. If anything, it's the opposite. She's probably putting in a lot more time than anybody ever expected her to put in because of the, so I think she has a lot to be proud of.
Dude, and I still give her credit for the fact that when she went to Saudi Arabia and all the other women were completely dressed all the way up to the chin, where they were showing no skin, Lana was the only chick that came out with girl balls and was wearing a pretty revealing dress.
And she gave you, she appreciated that. She contacted you online and thanked you for that.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like Lana's a fucking trooper. She is definitely a company woman. She's done what she can, but it's just to sit there and regret what you've done. I don't know if she regrets, but if it comes off like she regrets what she's done because she couldn't make it, you're kind of just feeling sorry for yourself. You have so many other talents that other people would kill to have. You have other opportunities that other people would kill to have. It's kind of like, because you don't get to be Batman, it just sucks being Robin.
Right, exactly. Yes. Right. But I will say this. Remember I said earlier that you have a lot of storylines that are being used 2-3 times at the same time?
Sure.
Ali, Hurt Business, Ricochet, Retribution. I just thought of one. We said earlier that Keith Lee will probably be the one to cause the split between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. We're going to get into that main event now about that. Because even tonight with the finish, Drew got caught in the middle between the two. I think they could very well end up doing the exact same thing with Asuka and Charlotte. I could picture they putting Lana in a storyline where she's happy for Asuka, but she's obviously, upset that she couldn't do it. And I could just picture Charlotte, the nasty queen bitch, like you said, basically going and just telling Charlotte, what are you doing with that? She's a loser.
Right.
I could see Lana being the one where Asuka's got to choose, and maybe Asuka chooses Lana, and that causes Charlotte to snap, and Charlotte is now the heel. I think that we're going to, just an idea. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but, as people realize, Mish and I like to think outside the box quite a bit. By the way, we're at 1 hour and 44 minutes right now. It looks like we're going to do 2 hours. So we're about 15 minutes away from finishing. But the main event tonight, the Holiday Street Fight, which we already talked earlier about some of the flaws in that. But you had Drew McIntyre Keith Lee and Sheamus beat Miz, Morrison, and AJ Styles. Just to add to what we said earlier, basically what happened was, Drew was going to hit his finisher. He was going to hit the Claymore, get the win, and Sheamus tagged himself in. So the announcers played off like, oh, Sheamus, wants, his spotlight or whatever. Okay. So Sheamus tags himself in. We think Sheamus is going to hit the bro kick and match is going to be over. Keith Lee tags himself in. Keith Lee hits the Spirit Bomb. They get the win. After it's over, Sheamus hits the kick, the bro kick on Keith Lee. And Keith Lee is down, and Drew McIntyre, you hear him audible, you hear him saying to Sheamus, we just won the match. Why did you do that? He's on our side. Blah, 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 blah. And they immediately went off the air because they were cutting off TV. I mean, they just fit it in. Remember last week we said to everyone that it abruptly went off the air with the AJ Styles stuff, with Drew McIntyre? They did it again tonight. They had to cut off the air 5 seconds after that happened. But I think this is going to lead where Drew is going to take Keith Lee's side over his lifelong friend, and Sheamus is going to bro kick Drew, and he's going to beat the fuck out of Drew, and that's going to be a Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, probably is.
So that was Raw tonight. Had some good points, but overall, for people out there that expected some major shift in WWE programming, you didn't get it. And I don't understand why anybody thought they were going to get it. So before we go, a couple of quick things. Ken terminated by... Did you hear my Don the Donkey crap yesterday?
No, I didn't get a chance to. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You had your show you were doing too. By the way, plug Thursday.
Oh, it's just Thursday, 7:30. Actually, not sure how it's going to run this week. We might pre-record on Wednesday, so we'll see. I'm not even sure if Joe's going to be back yet. Hopefully he will be.
Yeah, best wishes to Joey, by the way.
Yeah, he's feeling better. For people that were curious on how Joe's doing, Joe's been off for a week for some people that, noticed and stuff like that. But he's doing better, and he appreciates the love and support. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Seriously, best wishes go out to him. So, sucks to be sick like that for the holidays, but much love.
Sure. Oh, yeah, especially right now, too, when you're supposed to be getting all your gifts and everything else like that. It's just, so.
Yesterday, Anthony Diaz, he had a challenge for both of us, but, you had to do your show, obviously. Basically, we come up with our own puppet, own name, type of puppet, and the catch was it had to be like, for me, a New York accent, Italian accent. And I was like, talk about spur in a moment. Like, it's not like Patreon where you have like the whole day to think about the answers and first, but this was spur in a moment in Super Chat. So just out of nowhere, I said, okay, I'll be Don the Donkey. And I actually looked on Amazon tonight, and I'm going to buy a donkey, and I'm going to dress it up like a gangster. I'm going to put it in the back. But I've never in my entire life ever impersonated a donkey before. So yesterday, I'm trying to talk like a donkey, and I'm like, hey, how you doing, Rambling Rabbit? And for some reason, people were hysterical last night. I mean, to the point where I had people angry, stop it already. And then other people super chat, you got to do it one more time. You got to do it one more time. So that was yesterday, and I just did it for 10. Ken terminated by DQ. So I hope I satisfied your hunger for some donkey sounds. 90s guy, much love, my friend. And thanking us for our Raw review and, telling everybody, we're going to be done in 10 minutes. We still got 10 minutes. But yes, everybody, if you're enjoying the show, give it a thumbs up. That sends the algorithm to YouTube. The more those come in, the more YouTube feels it should be a video they recommend to others. And much love. Since last Monday, we made a concerted effort to change a couple of things on the shows, tightening up a little bit shorter, no longer 3.5 hours, even 2.5 hours, no more, adding timestamps. Mish and I are going to talk later this week about the membership idea starting January, if not February. We're going to build on that live show idea. And something I should have stressed Friday, that when you have the live chat Thursday nights, just nothing planned, just regular chat, could be about life or whatever, it will always air after Wrestling Soup is done. It'll never air at the same time. I don't do that to my friends. So, and for anybody out there who's going to say, yeah, but this other show's going on as well, it's different because that is Patreon, and Patreon is only available to a core audience. Live chat, it's a live chat. So, anyway, so I just wanted to mention that. By the way, Joe Punches, he was worried tonight. Does Jeff Hardy oh, yes, let's talk about that. What's going on with Jeff Hardy? I mean, we just had this conversation, I think 2 weeks ago, where, and trust me, everyone, I'm not trying to be dramatic here. We don't clickbait. But you remember when he didn't move the ring steps and then jumped off the top rope and he actually hit the ring steps, but, just because the table, absorbed his fall, that he didn't go crashing down head first into the ring steps. Right. Tonight, he takes an awful fall, and it looked awful. I mean, maybe it didn't look scripted because you had the ref immediately come over, and Jeff Hardy looked like he was woozy a little bit, but Jeff Hardy takes another spill tonight, and, again, I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but when you get older, your instincts and you start lapsing a little bit. You forget where your keys are. You forget this. You might forget one little aspect of something here and there. Could Jeff Hardy seriously be now getting a little bit careless just because of age and all the bumps and the over the years? Because this is 2 times in less than a month that there was some scary ass shit. And this isn't Darby Allin just doing reckless stuff. This is concerning. What do you think?
I don't know if it's a memory issue. I mean, I hope not. But I also don't think that Jeff Hardy's a guy who should be out there killing himself anymore either.
Yeah.
But that's Jeff Hardy. What are you going to do? He makes the company money. The company likes it when he falls off of things. He likes to fall off of things. There was a point where I thought that Jeff Hardy was just sacrificing his body in order to make a paycheck.
Yeah, I remember you said that.
This has been so long. You have to look at his entire career and think, this guy gets his own rocks off from falling on shit. This is his demeanor. This is his personality. I think it's more than just, I want to go out there and impress the fans. I think he likes it too. I think he likes the feel of it.
I don't think WWE likes that.
Oh, sure they do. They'll, to your face, WWE will say that they don't like that, but they absolutely
That's such
like
good
that.
shit.
Yeah, he's a highlight reel. He's a human highlight reel. Of course they love him. Oh, we don't condone that. And children, please, don't ever watch Jeff Hardy matches because we don't condone that. But, hey, Jeff, can you go fall off that? Please, go fall off that. You know what I mean? It's hypocritical.
Jeff, I'm not saying that you should remove the pad, but
right, exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. We're not going to tell
Joe
you
also,
not to remove the pad. Yeah.
Joe also clarified that earlier when his daughter said that I'm SUS, that's a term that they use when you play Among Us to find out who the imposter is. I do play Among Us. I haven't played in the last 2 weeks because Saturday it was hectic, trying to get some stuff together for the holidays and everything. But
Sure.
I do play. I'm not very good at it, but I don't get to be the imposter all that often. I mean, of all the times I play, I think there was the imposter twice, and both times I failed. I failed terribly. So, but Joe, thank you for clarifying that. By the way, with Drew McIntyre, some of you may be interested in this. Obviously, we'll save this discussion for next week. If our Patreon audience tomorrow wants us to talk about it, we'll talk about it tomorrow as well. But Drew McIntyre is on Cameo. WWE advertised it today. It's not, as far as I know, is a limited time only. Drew McIntyre is now on Cameo, and they're charging $400 for it. Your thoughts,
For what,
your brief
15
thoughts
seconds?
about it.
I mean, I guess they'll find out how much Drew is actually worth, right?
Oh, I think, especially for the holidays, I'm baffled.
From Cameo. Do you think Alexa Bliss is going to make more money from Cameo, or do you think Drew McIntyre is going to make more money from
Why
Cameo?
do you think it's only Drew McIntyre that's on there? Is Drew McIntyre the only person that said to WWE that he would give, the percentage he was given? Or is this something where WWE is now starting to work out deals with Cameo?
Didn't Taker do it too? No, I think that they're working out deals because Taker did it too. I think they're trying to use Cameo as almost like a meet and greet now. A kind of like an offshoot meet and greet, because obviously you can't do meet and greets in the middle of the COVID era. So I think that this is just another way for WWE to kind of make some of that money back that they've been passing on the table for a while now.
Yeah, I think $400 is a little tight, though. I mean,
Sure.
I think,
But hey, it's Christmas. What better gift than a personal message from the WWE champion?
hey, man, everyone out there, when you get your stimulus check, that'll buy you 1.5 Drew McIntyres. Seriously.
Yeah, if you give them the whole stimulus check, it'll go another 15 seconds for you.
Do you know people out there actually have emailed me several times saying that you and I should set up a Cameo, even if we gave most of it for charity?
No. Fuck out of here.
I would never be on there. That's for famous people.
Nah, dude.
But
Yeah, we're not that level. Come on.
yeah. But I mean, if there's a special occasion and someone out there wants us to record something, maybe we'll do that as part of like the membership thing. Maybe we'll do like Cameo videos for people.
Sure.
You could, whatever you want us to talk about. I just won't badmouth anybody in podcasting land specifically,
Right.
whether it's somebody I did shows with or not. So I do have some morals, but we got the Slammy Awards this Wednesday.
Yes.
I mean, there's only a few categories. I think they announced Mick Foley today is going to be a presenter. By the way, Mick Foley wasn't on that Legends list.
Well, he's not a legend, DT.
Come on. He's one of the greatest of all time, man. But no, I just realized that. He's going to be on the Slammies unless something's going to happen. I'm a little surprised. That he's gonna, then
he's
again,
gonna take Alicia Fox's spot. That could happen.
I was shocked when I saw that. I was like, I like Alicia Fox, and she's battled the good fight. I mean, she's sober, and thank God for her. But, you saw some of the names, is like, okay, that, if everybody's a legend, then nobody's a legend. I don't know if that makes sense. I know some people out there will understand what I'm talking about. Joe Punches says $600 pays for his rent.
Yeah.
And your ponytails.
Yeah. That's right. It must be difficult when somebody's going bald to look at somebody with long hair. I'm sorry, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the reason why I've been wearing the do-rags, I mean, my hair's all scrunchy right now, but, I got to color the sideburns a little bit. The sideburns got a little gray showing. So you want to know something? I just ordered Just for Men brush-in that I was going to do tomorrow when I get my hair cut. And I looked over at my speaker, and my fucking hair color has been sitting on top of my speaker for the last 2 months. Sitting right there. And over the weekend, I'm like, I can't find it. So I ordered Just for Men stuff through Amazon. I had it sitting right here the whole time.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
So anyway, just very quickly, I mean, we could give our predictions, but we're going to do year-end awards in January anyway. But we're going to do it a little differently. I'll go through this category with you. Just choose the person you think WWE is going to select as the winner. Because who we want and who WWE is going to try to portray as the winner are two totally different things. So I'm going to give the category the nominees, and you say who you think WWE is going to choose. All right.
All right.
We have Rivalry of the Year. Seth Rollins versus the Mysterio family. Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Edge versus Randy Orton. Sasha Banks versus Bayley. R-Truth versus The World. And Lana versus Announce Tables. Who do you think WWE is going to choose?
Edge and Randy Orton.
Okay. I think WWE is going to choose Sasha versus Bayley. Even though the feud was rather short, people think about it. Return of the year. Edge, Roman Reigns, MVP, Goldberg, Sami Zayn. Who do you think WWE is going to pick?
Goldberg.
Okay. Think they're going to choose Edge. Tag Team of the Year. Sasha and Bailey, Nia Jax and Shayna, The New Day, The Street Profits, or Shinsuke and Cesaro.
Shayna and Nia.
Very interesting. 3 categories, and you and I disagreed on all 3. I think they're going to give it to Bailey and Sasha. I think Bailey is going to be like Owen Hart and have multiple, at least 2 Slammies, and she's going to keep going out there with 2 Slammies in her hand, just like Owen used to do. I just picturing that. Ring Gear of the Year. Charlotte, Sasha, Seth Rollins, The New Day, Bianca Belair, Shinsuke, and Carmella.
Charlotte.
Okay. I think they're going to choose Bianca Belair. This is wild, man. I mean, you and I debate, especially on Patreon. We go at it. Right. We go at it because a lot of real life, you know, and you and I do not, you know, we're totally different. But
we don't always see eye to eye.
Yeah. Right. 4 topics, 4 totally different answers. Breakout Star of the Year. Dominic Mysterio, Bianca Belair, Otis, The Street Profits, or Murphy?
Otis.
Wow. I thought about Murphy, but I chose Dominic. I think WWE is going to choose Dominic Mysterio.
You know what? Yeah, that might be the cheap way to put Dominic. You know what? I'll change from Otis to Dominic. Not even to be. I see. You're right. They're going to have to give Dominic something.
I'd like to give it to Murphy, but I think WWE's got to give it. Mysterio's got to win something.
I'd like to give it to Bianca Belair, but she hasn't done shit. Yeah. So,
and she just lost to Bailey.
Right.
So, all right, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Match of the year: Undertaker versus AJ WrestleMania, the Boneyard match. New Day versus the Hurt Business for the Raw Tag Titles on Raw not too long ago. Edge versus Randy Orton, the greatest wrestling match ever. The Men's Royal Rumble match. AJ versus Daniel Bryan, the finals in the IC title tournament from June. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, the Hell in a Cell I Quit match. Sasha versus Bayley, Hell in a Cell. AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy, IC title triple threat ladder match from Clash of Champions. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns, Survivor Series. Becky Lynch versus Asuka from the Royal Rumble. Who do you think WWE is going to choose?
That Becky versus Asuka is a wild card. But I'm thinking it might be Undertaker and AJ.
Okay. I kind of agree with you there. I think WWE is going to choose them. My personal favorite on that list is AJ versus Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy. That was just fucking wild.
Oh, no, it was a good match, but WWE isn't going to give that credit.
Yeah. I think we both agree AJ Styles has got to win at least one award. So this category is probably going to be
I think
the
Undertaker needs to win one award, actually.
Well, there is another category.
Okay.
Well, you know what? There's only 4 categories left. When I get into this one, this may change your mind about Match of the Year. This is Moment of the Year. Undertaker's farewell speech from Survivor Series. Drew McIntyre beating Brock for the heavyweight title at Mania. Becky Lynch announcing she's pregnant. Edge returning to the Royal Rumble. New Day's farewell address from SmackDown 2 months ago. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman uniting. Bayley turning on Sasha Banks. And the New Day getting drafted to different brands.
Probably Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Yeah, you kind of feel you got to give one to Drew. I never thought of Drew beating Brock as the one. I kind of thought Edge returning to the Royal Rumble, how special that felt, but I don't think Edge should get 2. You know, and earlier we talked about Edge as the comeback. So I think WWE, I kind of agree with you. I think they could choose Drew McIntyre winning that.
Even though we didn't feel so solid about Drew,
Right.
WWE loves the guy this whole year.
Yeah.
And for the people that are fans of Drew, that's going to be for them. You know?
Yeah. Got 3 left. Well, we have a superstar of the year, male superstar of the year, and female superstar of the year. Basically, what they did was you have the male superstar of the year and the female superstar of the year. The superstar of the year is the male and female combined. So what makes you, when you think about it, somebody is going to win too. Because if you choose a certain person as a female superstar of the year and you choose a certain male, why would you choose someone different as the overall superstar of the year? But anyway, from the male list, the male superstar of the year, who do you think WWE is going to choose? You got Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, or Bray Wyatt?
Roman Reigns.
Okay. I am going to change what I said earlier. I think Undertaker, his farewell will probably be that moment of the year. Instead of Drew beating Brock, and I think Drew will be considered male superstar of the year. I think WWE, that's where they're going to go with that. On the female side, you have Asuka, Sasha. I should just say Asuka and the 4 Horsewomen. You have Asuka, Sasha, Bayley, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte.
I'm going to say Becky. Ooh. I think they're going to give Becky something.
Wow. I honestly think they got to give it to Asuka.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. You're asking me what I think WWE is going to
well,
pick.
You think WWE? I mean, I agree with you. I could picture WWE doing that.
Different than anything I've said on this list so far. Matter of fact, every single thing I've said on this list is not my opinion.
Yeah, you disagree with.
My opinion of what WWE is going to do.
Right. Next week on Breakfast Soup Raw, we'll do the results from Slammies, and then we'll give our picks from the list.
Sure.
So now we take all those names, and now you got to choose the overall superstar of the year. Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, which is weird because he wasn't on the original list, Bray Wyatt, Asuka, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte.
It might be different. Maybe Superstar of the Year and male and female Superstar of the Year is going to be different because then I can see Drew being Superstar of the Year, not male Superstar, but actual Superstar of the Year.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So I could see Roman Reigns being the male Superstar of the Year, but I could see Drew McIntyre being the all-encompassing Superstar of the Year.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that was the categories for Slammies. We'll see Wednesday who ends up winning. Yeah. And one thing I should have said before, the Royal Rumble, they announced the date yesterday. It will be Sunday, January 31st. So it is about 5.5 weeks away, and I think those 5.5 weeks are going to fly by. So
let's hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. But other than that, any final words before we start wrapping it up?
I think we're good. Looking forward to doing some breakfast soup with you tomorrow, and then of course finishing it up with a little Frank and Gus, and obviously soup this week if possible. And of course, I wish everyone Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. I hope you guys have a good one. And we'll see you before long. Yeah. Much love, Mish. I'll talk to you tomorrow for Patreon. Very cool. Take care, my friend. Ken Terminator. Ooh, Mish leaves us. It's like Mish is watching you masturbate. You couldn't look the other way. Couldn't look at Poppy's picture in the background. Is that the Bellas I see in the background of his picture? Is that the Bellas? Wow, good. That's cool. I give him credit, man. Credit. Ken terminated by DQ. Remember when Jericho won the 2008 Superstar of the Year? Sure. 2008 was a pretty interesting year for pro wrestling. Do we think it's someone unexpected like Orton? Orton is not on that list. You kind of feel like you got to give
something to Drew. What's interesting is that Drew versus Brock is not in the match of the year candidate. It's a moment of the year, but it's not considered match of the year. I'll be honest with you. Edge entering the Royal Rumble was a special moment for the year. But I also think Drew eliminating Brock was a great moment as well. I would have put 2 moments from that match. But no, I don't think Randy Orton's winning any award this year. But, Jericho winning in 2008, yes, that was memorable. 2008 was a fun year. Obviously, it's not what it is today. I mean, it was much more fun at that time. But no, I think it comes down to Drew or Roman Reigns. I could picture Roman Reigns being angry for not winning anything, but I also could look at it where, that stuff doesn't matter to him, So I do feel that Bayley will come out with 2 Slammies. Like I said, for some reason, I just think of Bayley, and I just remember when Owen Hart used to always come out with 2 Slammies and with pride and would always, remind everyone about the slam. I could just Bayley insisting that the announcer as a 2-time 2020 Slammy Award winner. I just feel it. But I didn't see Orton on this list for Superstar of the Year. Did not see Randy Orton. Oh, Randy Orton is on this list. But I still don't think Randy Orton would win it. Randy Orton has had a decent year. Randy Orton has been a team player. Randy Orton wrestled more than I expected him to wrestle this year. But I don't think, because storyline-wise, we got to remember, and the reason why we did the Slammy predictions this way tonight is because I'll never forget when they did the Diva of the Decade. And I know Sonny was not on the best of, best of favors with WWE. They weren't on the greatest of terms at the time. But I remember the 90s, and I remember how big Sonny was as far as the internet goes. And, I didn't think there was any question Sonny should have been the Diva of the Decade. And they gave it to Trish Stratus. And Trish Stratus, we look back on her legendary career, one of the best. But at that time, she still was not at the point that she ended up being. And I remember doing my hotline at the time, and she was announced as the Diva of the Decade, and we realized, most of us almost immediately, all right, this is WWE using the awards to try to push someone, elevate someone higher. And that's all fine to an extent, but it wasn't just Diva of the Year, it was Diva of the Decade. And, when you take a whole 10-year period, and yes, the internet really was not prevalent until the mid-90s, it just rubbed a lot of people the wrong way at the time. So, I don't know, but Randy Orton, he's got, put it this way, Randy Orton does not need a Slammy right now. I think other people do. And I think some people will use them as props to further their career, their character careers on TV right now. And some other people, it's just to try to add legitimacy. A lot of people still think that Drew McIntyre's title runs, the 2, have been a failure. We're in the middle of fucking COVID, so you can't judge it on COVID. So, and I'm still creeped out. I keep seeing Mish over here, but I'm not creeped at you, Mish, but seriously, there's some people that could use it. And I think Drew McIntyre, by giving him a Slammy Award winner for something as important as male superstar of the year or overall superstar of the year, I think Asuka should get the 2, to be honest with you. Asuka with 2 titles and 2 Slammy Awards. That's what I'd like to see. Maybe Charlotte gets jealous at Asuka. Asuka's got 2 Slammys and 2 titles, and all I have is a title. I have no Slammys for this year. So for some people, I think it helps them. And that kind of what happened with Trish for Diva of the Decade. So, I forgot to tell Mish, we should save it for next week. But I'll let it out now since he'll probably watch this on the recap. Maria Kanellis Bennett, she is now part of Ring of Honor again. And I know, Mish is such a big fan of Maria that I wanted to close out the show with him before to let him know that. But I will talk about it a little bit more on Wednesday. But Maria is once again part of Ring of Honor. So Tuesday, you have AEW Dark. I tell you, man, before I read you the Dark matches, in case you want to check them out, WWE totally fucked up NXT this week. I'm telling you right now. I think part of the reason why NXT did better in the ratings last week and also tightened the gap with AEW is because they advertised 3 or 4 matches like 5 days before NXT. Last week was the first time in a very long time that WWE announced numerous matches other than the Halloween Havoc and the In Your House. That's different. But as far as regular episodes of NXT, they have done a pathetic job hyping up numerous matches in advance. For the last 5 days, they have advertised just Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. And they're going to do something with Johnny Gargano. But last week, they advertised 4 or 5 matches 5 days early, which was beautiful. First time they've done that in a while. And I think part of that affected the ratings because people saw on paper, okay, these are pretty good matches. I'm going to check it out. Now it's like, oh, you want to see who's going to wrestle? You got to tune in to find out. I think WWE did a horrible job the last 7 days of not promoting matches. And that gives a little bit of an impression that the matches are not going to be all that solid. Because if they were going to have these powerhouse matches going down, why wouldn't you push it 2, 3, 4, 5 days in advance? You want to hype it up, get people energized, get people talking about it. You don't announce the matches, nobody can talk about it. Only thing people say is, hey, what's going to be on NXT this week? So thumbs down to WWE for this week's NXT. AEW Dark. You have Colt Cabana and Dark Orders 5 and 10 versus Fuego del Sol, Aaron Solo, and Ray Jazz. Peter Avalon versus Michael Verna. Bear Country versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Ray Phoenix versus Danny Limelight. I haven't talked about Danny Limelight yet, but keep that name in the back of your mind. Danny Rivera, Danny Limelight Rivera. That's a name that you may start seeing a lot more of. Just anybody that's ever seen his work, not the most polished guy out there, but he's got something. Just needs to develop it. Stu Grayson versus Lee Johnson. Alex Garcia versus Kylan King. Sonny Kiss versus Miro. Maddie Rankowski versus Layla Hirsch. Thunder Rosa versus Jasmine Allure. Matt Seidel versus Serpentico. Tisha Price versus Nyla Rose. Terrence and Terrell Hughes versus Austin Gunn and Colton Gunn. That's Devon's sons, by the way, taking on the Guns. You have Vert Vixen. Is that Vert Vixen versus Red Velvet? Wow, why does the name not sound familiar? And the waiting room segment, hosted by Britt Baker, and her guest this week will be Serena Deeb. And with that, everyone, I bid you farewell for this evening. Now, remember, this Friday is Christmas Day. 3 matches already announced for SmackDown. Charlotte and Asuka are going to defend the tag titles. They never mentioned who they're going to be facing. My guess it's going to be the Riot Squad, but the fact that you don't announce their opponents in advance, for me, it's telling. We're also going to have Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens Friday in a cage match. So the feud continues between the two, which last night, if you checked out the recap, that is something Mish and I want to see go to the Royal Rumble. We want to see Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens feud for another month. And then once the Rumble happens, then it shifts. That's what we would like to see. And we have Sami Zayn taking on Big E for the IC title on Friday as well. That one, like I said before, that'll end, I think, with some type of BS finish. I'd be shocked if Big E were to win that title that quickly. It would be cool, but I don't see it happening. But I don't know, what's all the hate with Sam and Ken? You know, everybody in the chat is cool, man. Seriously, I thank you all for staying up late tonight on Monday. Now, as I was saying before, I will not be doing a show on Friday because it will be Christmas Day. I am spending the eve at my fiance's house with her family. I will social distance. I will not be anywhere near anybody, and we're not going to stay all that long. Christmas Day, I will be spending it with my family, and I will be staying over their house for the weekend. And, you know, being careful, as always. And so I won't be around Friday. Now, next week, and I will be around this Wednesday, obviously. I will be here Wednesday. Next week, it's going to be an interesting week because we have Breakfast Soup Raw on Monday. Patreon Tuesdays, as always. By the way, next Tuesday, it'll be myself, Mish, and Kevin doing, off-the-cuff episode on Patreon. Mostly Q&A, live chat and stuff. Next Wednesday will be your usual Wednesday Night Dynamite. Next Thursday, which is New Year's Eve, I got a lot of feedback from you. A lot of emails. Some people didn't want to say it publicly because there's other shows going on that night, and they didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But I got a lot of responses of a lot of you out there that are going to be home New Year's Eve that would like for me to do some type of a live show. So as of right now, I will give you the official word by Monday. But as of right now, it is on. Next week, I was going to start either 9 p.m. Eastern or 10 p.m. Eastern. We will reign in the new year together. I will have champagne here. Obviously, you will not be able to drink it, but I will take a shot. You might even get a little cameo appearance by a certain someone. But my thinking is to either start at 9 or start at 10 and then stay on until 1 a.m. We'll reign in the new year. Now, I know some of you out there will be overseas, so you will already have had your New Year's. So, but that's the plan. You know, it's not 100% yet, because I have to ultimately get approval from you-know-who because, I don't think she'd be too fond. But she's not looking forward to the new year because of everything going on with COVID. So she's already said to me that she has no problem if I am in here with all of you for New Year's. But obviously, I'd like to do a champagne toast with her. So we'll see what happens. But, this Thursday idea of doing a weekly live chat right here every Thursday is something that I think is going to start the first week in January. That'll be a regular show. Because one thing a lot of you have been saying to me is we got wrestling on Mondays, we got wrestling on Wednesdays, and we got wrestling on Fridays here, and I do Q&A, and we do pay-per-view recaps. There's a lot of you out there that do want to talk about topics besides wrestling, and it's not easy to be talking about a Sami Zayn match and then someone brings up politics. It doesn't fit in. So the idea of doing one show here, we would talk about wrestling, obviously, but anything could be brought up. That's the idea for Thursdays. So people expecting strictly wrestling discussed on Thursdays, that's not going to be the case. So that's pretty much what the format is going to be, and it'll tweak as time goes on. But a lot of you have been asking for one show where we just chat about whatever. Now, New Year's Eve, obviously, it'll be a couple of hours because of looking back at 2020 and reigning in the new year. But when it becomes a regular weekly show on Thursdays, it'll run between 60 minutes and 2 hours. In a perfect world, I'd like for it to go 90 minutes, but it's going to be based on all of you. If nobody tunes in live, then I have nobody to chat with. So this is all dependent on everybody who shows up live, because whatever you all want to talk about, that is what I will be talking about. And we'll see where it goes. 2021 is going to be phenomenal. We're going to start taking live calls. A lot of you have been coming up with the ideas for memberships and things that we can do. And let me also stress this. For some people out there that find it sacrilegious that we would actually do some type of membership thing here. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are no longer commercials right here on YouTube during the shows. You might get a commercial at the very beginning of a show, and you might get a commercial at the very end of a show. But once the show starts, there are no commercials at all during the entire show. We're going to finish now at 2.5 hours. There were no commercials on YouTube during the entire 2.5 hours, other than the beginning and the end. The memberships will basically compensate the fact that we're not having ads going. Because a lot of people have said to me, DT, you're nuts not to have any ads during the shows. So it's a nice balance. If we do memberships, that'll allow us to not flood these with ads. So there's a lot of things that we plan on doing. No, I'm not going to be drinking Jericho's bubbly. Nothing against it, but I've had a few people tell me who have bought it that, they thought it was a little bit too much money for the type of quality. It's more like I don't want to say a dessert wine, but a lot of people, I guess, with all due respect, I guess they didn't realize that when you buy something with Jericho's name on it, it was going to be more expensive than, you got like a $5-10 bottle of champagne and you sell it for 5 times the amount because there's a Jericho label on it. Look, that's smart business. That I'm not complaining about that, but I don't know what people were expecting. So I had a lot of people, not a lot, but I had at least a dozen or so people tell me, there's been a few people that said they liked it, but I had over a dozen people say to me, I didn't enjoy this wine all that much. So I have a decent bottle in the fridge. So I'll probably be breaking open a real bottle of champagne. So, and Lone Wolf got it, said it tastes like shit. I thought of it. I've told people this. If you want the bubbly that bad, this is my advice. Go on YouTube, buy the empty bottle from someone for $10. Get the empty bottle, fill it up with sand. On Amazon, they have sand that you could fill in for bottles. And not only does it look nice, but it also puts weight on the bottle, so you don't have to worry about tipping it over and then it falls down and breaks in a million pieces. I had people may remember this. I had Coke bottles that had all the hosts' names on them. I had them made up. And for a while, I had a bottle with my name on it, a bottle with Kevin's name on it, a bottle with Mish's name on it, Joey Numbers, and had all the bottles together. And what I ended up doing was I drank the sodas, obviously, but I filled them up with brown sand. I put the cap back on. I cleaned them first. But now I had them for many years on my shelf, and it looked cool to have 4 bottles of soda. And, that was the time when they were doing the custom bottles, like have a Coke with, and you could have any name on there. But I think the only one I have left is mine. I don't remember whose broke, but once one of them broke, I was like, I'll just keep mine. So, but so that's it, everybody. So I'm going to jet out of here. And I thank you all for spending the night with myself and Mish. It is 1:34 a.m., so I have a late night to go still because I'm going to start working on some timestamps. Already took a lot of notes. So I will get the timestamps online tonight so you can go right to certain topics that you want to hear. And join me Wednesday after NXT and AEW for your Wednesday Night Dynamite. Then after that, there is nothing until next Monday. So I will have time Wednesday to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. So everyone, much love as always. I am Alfred. Thank you for the kind words. Not only did he think tonight's show was a good show, he said it was a good fucking show. So, but I thank you all. And like I say, as always, before you jet, If you can do us a favor, and if you enjoyed the show, hit that like button. If you didn't like the show, give it a thumbs down, man. I as long as you interact, because like I said, I have to spend the next bunch of weeks learning these algorithms on YouTube a little bit, because apparently, like I said, the more you interact, the more YouTube recommends the shows and the streams to others out there. And it's always cool to get someone that says, oh, found your show on YouTube, love it. Love it. It's a great feeling to still get that after all these years. So, all right, everybody, good night, all the best, and I will catch you Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Night, everybody.